Welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil. And today I'm in a very sunny West Bromwich on a Sunday morning. What I want to do on this video is take you to a bit of a forgotten park actually. In fact, I don't think many people realise it is a park. And from when you're passing it, it looks a bit like a big open green space. But in fact it is actually designated a park. It's not in the same category or league as, say, the Dartmouth Park or the Hilltop, the Kenrick and the Farley Park, which are West Bromwich's big four parks, if you like. And of course we've got the Sandwell Country Park, if you want to call the Sandwell Valley a park. But this one is just used to be part of someone's house back in the day. So we're going to have a look at that, and before I get there we'll have a look around a few of the streets around here in Black Lake. So let's go and have a look. Now, I'm standing on the corner of Brett Street here in West Bromwich, and just here is the very busy Church Lane that leads from Black Lake, just there on the junction, with Swan Lane going straight ahead, which heads down towards Swan Village. And here we've got Church Street, which I'm going to pay another visit to one of these days. It will take you right down towards the old church in West Bromwich town, near to the cemetery in Heath Lane. It really was one of the main areas of industrial activity in West Bromwich, with its many iron foundries and metal trades, and of course there was also coal mining and brick making down there, and it all added to West Bromwich's prosperity, if you like. I wonder what replaced the prosperity for the town now that we haven't got all this industry that we once had. Anyway, we're coming up Brett Street to show you up Brett Street, because we've got some rather nice semi-detached properties along here. Look, there's a few trees as well. But once, right up until maybe the war, the Second World War in the 40s, all this side used to be an area of industrial activity. We used to have what was once known as a barrel works just over here somewhere. Beyond that we'd have a small iron foundry, and going further back beyond there would have been a clay pit, brick making. Maybe up to the Second World War there was around 15,000 people that we employed to work along Church Lane. Brett Street isn't a particularly long road. If you go at the top here, we're going to take a right. We're going to take us onto Old Meeting Street, because I'm going to show you this park this morning, and I'm not sure if many people are aware of its history. And if you just look through these gates here, we're just at the rear of an old Sunday school. And you can just see the top of the Sri Krishna, I think it's called, Sri Krishna Temple. The Ebenezer Congregational Church used to be on that side. I'm going to have a look around the front of there in a bit. This is something it says about a storage place, but it was a works of some kind. You can see there's a bit of signage there, but it's long gone, explaining to you what it once was. Again, there was another small factory or industrial little unit here as well on the right. You can see it's all seems to be falling down, doesn't it? Yeah, you can see there used to be a door just here, look. There's some metal wire across where the window once was. So I'm going to take a right here at the end of Greswold Street, and I do remember bringing my car here once for an MOT, and it's still got the no parking gate, 24 hours in use. This is Old Meeting Street we're on now. That's took a bit of a battering, isn't it, though? I'm just standing here now on the corner of New Swan Lane. It's New Swan Lane because the old Swan Lane was just beyond there. But this newly created part of New Swan Lane was built mainly on the old gasworks, which goes just a bit further along there. And just here on this newish road here used to stand a school called the Black Lake County Primary School. And it had been here since 1885 and it closed in 1969. And this road here, Billet Lane, used to join Old Meeting Street, but you can see it's all cut off now. And of course along here there used to be terraced properties all along here, and that was here till around, I think it might have been the early 2000s they were still here, these old terrace properties. And just ahead of me, where all these new flats are built, used to stand the King Edward VII. A very popular pub was the King Edward VII, but its reputation was tarnished in 1995 when there was somebody used a gun to shoot, I think, a DJ. But the King Edward VII pub had been there since 1871 before it was demolished in 2008. Next door to that pub, you know, used to be a depot, a tyre depot called ATS. Just going to show you a Grade 2 listed building now. We've got this, which we just saw the back of, down Brett Street. And it's a building here, the Hindu temple. It's a very ornate building. On the site of that building used to be well, it was an old chapel, then it became the Ebenezer Congregational Church from around 1839. The Congregational Church closed in 1971, and in 1974 this place was constructed. Next to which you can see a building which was part of the Congregational Church from the early 1900s. It was a Sunday school, and you can still see the word school just above the door. But this is all, and from 1987 the temple and the school building there are all now Grade 2 listed structures now. A pub here called the Roebuck stood here, and the Roebuck had been there since 1860. I think it was in the 1980s when it was demolished, where this particular part of Old Meeting Street would have many terrace properties. There's very few survivors now from old West Bromwich. And there we got the halfway house. I'm thinking maybe it's halfway between, say, top of High Street to Hilltop maybe. But the halfway house hasn't been a pub now for quite some time, but it's good to see that we've still got the signage at the top, and we've still got a couple of pub signs either side of the doors. But the halfway house has been there since 1881, and I think it closed around about 2010, but now it's all been converted into one-bedroom apartments. Quite a large area for flats now on that corner. And this is the trend though, isn't it? When you got pubs that are no longer in use, somebody either burns them down or eventually they would get demolished, and in its place we have these sorts of things, which we've already seen down there on the corner with the King Edward VII pub, all flats, and now the halfway house is similarly flats. But one good thing, I suppose, the original building is still standing. Chapel Street relates to a chapel that once stood here, St Andrew's. I'm not sure when it disappeared. It must have been a long time ago. Right at the bottom of Chapel Street on the left, there once stood a pub called the Great Western. And the Great Western had been there since 1872, but closed in 1960 and demolished a few years later. And over here we look ahead of us, and that's Old Meeting Street, but this is the kind of newer version of Old Meeting Street, because this was the original version. It would continue and go up there, as you can see, where all these cars are parked. That was the Old Meeting Street. Over the road we have the Ackrell homes. Ackrell was the name of an industrialist who had an iron foundry here in town. I think he was behind me in Black Lake. He built these properties in 1932. There you can just see it, Ackrell. All right, mate. Thank you. You can just see on the gates there, Ackrell. We'll just go through the gates. We'll have a quick look around here. And isn't it nice the way it's laid out, though? With a lamp in the centre of the pathway there, look. Very early 1930s properties. And here there used to be a private chapel, look, you can see. But it's not a chapel any longer, it's now, I think it's another, I don't know what it is actually. Maybe another residence. You can see some signage just above the door there, explaining when it was erected and who by. It's a little bit faded, it's very difficult to make out what it says now. You don't see washing on the line there, do you? Over there, look at the size of that place, that vicarage. When I've come down, when I did a video around here not so long back about Old Meeting Street, I commented on the size of that place. You find a lot of vicarages like that. No expense paid, was there, as they built those. But just over there is Oakwood Street. It used to join Old Meeting Street, of course. But now when we look over here, see where this house is. There was a much older property on that site. And prior to this house being built, there was a very old, much older property that was on that site, and it belonged to the Jessons, and the Jesson family could be traced back many centuries in the business, religious and social life of West Bromwich, because they were a quite wealthy family, and they made their wealth from the traditional industries of coal and iron, and they became big property owners also. Thomas Jesson, who died in 1703, built the house which became known as Oakwood House here on Old Meeting Street, and by 1845 a descendant owned 45 acres of property, of land in West Bromwich, and most of that was around this Oakwood House here where this newer house is built. And I think it was about 1912 when the Reverend Jesson, who no longer lived at this the old property here on this site, and he donated the house, the grounds, a cottage and approximately 15 acres of land, which I'm going to show you now. Now, I mentioned the cottage. Now here, this used to be a right of way just down here, but you can see now it's all gated. You see, you can't get through it. You can't even look through it. But down there used to be the cottage that I've just mentioned, and then it was turned into a club. Now I don't know when that club ceased to be, or what kind of club it was, but there certainly was a club down that passageway. It was not until 1922 before this playing area here was officially opened to the public. And there was a big football match arranged, refereed by Jesse Pennington, a famous West Bromwich Albion football player in the 20s. And 5,000 people came to watch this football match. This is the gardens of Oakwood House, and it would contain. It even contained a water fountain, but that's long gone. By 1937, Oakwood House had become the headquarters of the St John's Ambulance Brigade. Apparently it housed 3 ambulance and 1 nursing division with a total strength of 120 people. By the mid-50s, the house was in a dangerous condition, and after the St John's Ambulance Brigade left the building, the house was demolished sometime in the late 1950s. So we come to this bit of area where there's a seating area, and I don't know what this was. Do you think this could have been the place where the fountain was? It could have been. It didn't have a bandstand. I'm not sure what I'm looking at now. I mean, what is it? That could have been lights or something. But you see, I don't know what it is. Could have been lights. It's like 3 sewage pipes sticking out the middle. Looks ridiculous. But you see, this was all the gardens of Oakwood House. Just as we enter the park, see all this metal fencing here. I was trying to make out what could have been here in the past. I think, I'm not 100%, would there have been public lavatories here? Could have been. But they obviously are long gone. This is the border. Welcome to Oakwood Park, West Bromwich. It's got a map of the area of Sandwell, and some old faded posters in there, leaflets in there related to the library. But look at the state of it. You can't really see what's behind this perspex covering. We've got a basketball pitch just over there. We've got a bit of a play area here. Yeah, and we've got a football pitch over there also, with a goal post. Not 2 goal posts, just the one. And this, beyond this wall here, are the rear of the Ackrell homes. Well, that Oakwood Park didn't look too bad, did it actually? It's quite a large area. And as I say, it's largely forgotten for a lot of people a bit further away. But what's fascinating also about this area is how much it really has changed over the many decades. And of course, right up until the 1950s, all the 60s in fact, there was a whole swathe of industries around this area, particularly down Church Lane. And here where I am at the moment in Greswold Street, there was industries just down here on my left. And of course you'd have pubs, you'd have churches, schools, all around this area. And gosh, hasn't it changed so much? All, as I said earlier, when a pub gets demolished or a pub closes down, it becomes residential. So all we have around here now is just numerous flats, apartments, houses, and that just seems to be the way of West Bromwich now. Even in our town, the main shopping area, retail area of West Bromwich now, they're just building flats and apartments where once stood a lot of heritage and history. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. And if you like the video, hit the like button and also hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for new videos. And I'll see you on the next one.